Sorry in advance if you can hear my fan. Also, this video is about werewolf comics, so I'm going to put like a content warning, general content warning for everything that I'm going to talk about. Hopefully you can see that on the screen right now. Hey YouTube, so about a year ago I made a video recommending superhero comics from the comic hosting website / app Webtoon. I really enjoyed doing that video and wanted to make another one. I read a lot of webtoons, whether for like the love of the story or because I just really like that artist, and I wanted to make more webtoon videos because I think it's a great option for people to get exposed to comics as a medium and to allow like a plethora of free material or just comics in general, because some people may not be able to or may not necessarily want to spend time tracking down comics in like a physical form, although you should support your local comic book store. So this week I'm recommending 3 webtoons either about or involving werewolves. I know that's no big surprise, it just is what it is. I like werewolves, they're one of my favorite monsters, so I'm going to be talking about a few webtoons Canvas series and one webtoon original. I went over it in my previous webtoon video, but essentially that means that most of them are independent webtoons hosted on but not affiliated with the Webtoon brand, and a few, well, one of them is officially recognized and hosted by the Webtoon company. It's just a way for them to categorize their comics, but Webtoon originals obviously tend to get a bit more of a stage on the platform, and I think it's important to explore things created independent of the Webtoon brand. Some of these comics may also be on other sites like Tapas or Tumblr or hosted on their own comic site, but I'm going to be specifically talking about what you have access to on the Webtoon app. I'm going to start off with After Dark. It's the Webtoon original. After Dark premiered on Webtoon Originals in June of 2023, but it actually started out as a Webtoon on Canvas. It's created by A. Berg on Webtoon, and they also go by Custardy on Instagram and TikTok. After Dark follows Drew, a young adult dealing with trauma after a recent accident resulted in the death of his girlfriend. Drew has a lot of inner turmoil, stricken with grief and guilt about what's happened. The story picks up as Drew finds himself succumbing to a mysterious illness, haunted by an apparition of his girlfriend, and feverishly wanting change in both his life and within himself. This change ultimately comes whether he wants it or not, and it should be obvious, but that illness is lycanthropy, which he was infected with initially during the accident that killed his girlfriend.
Rest in peace.
The reader follows Drew as he runs away from home, driven by his desire to figure out what's happening to him and to begin his life in a new direction. As the story progresses, we begin to see Drew's character develop, as well as being given glimpses of who he was before his life took like a total tailspin. We also see scenes with his parents, their reaction to what's going on, and the actions specifically Drew's mom is willing to take in order to get her son back. After Dark is probably one, if not my true favorite monstrous webtoon at the moment. I'm a big fan of horror elements that are in it, and I'm super excited for the next season. The art in After Dark is also really nice, and I'm a big fan of the way it's illustrated and formatted. Every character is unique, and the color palettes are probably my favorite part. The creator does the coolest stuff with colors. They also have a fantastic understanding of expression and visual storytelling. It is a horror story though, so there are freakier elements, blood and like that sort of stuff. So if you're going into After Dark, just keep that in mind, that there may be sensitive content. There are currently 34 episodes out, and the comic is actually on hiatus at the moment in preparation for the next season. So it's a great time to check it out. I'll put a link to After Dark and the other webtoons within the video description, obviously, as well as 1 or 2 of the creators' social medias, just so that you're able to follow them and keep up with the story and their like content. We Work the Night Shift is created by King Catbird and follows Hunter and Sebastian, who have turned themselves into supernatural creatures in order to work at a supernatural state park. They work the night shift, as the name implies, and the story follows them learning to live with each other as roommates.
And they were roommates.
Oh my god, they were roommates.
Their social lives and how they're able to cope with becoming supernatural creatures. Both Hunter and Sebastian are also the polar opposites of the tropes that are typically associated with their monsters, with Hunter being a bit of a boisterous vampire and Sebastian being a moody, more serene werewolf. He's almost caddish in how unwolfy he is at times. They make it a joke pretty early on in the comic that the two are so opposite from how you would expect them to be or what their monsters would correlate to, but it isn't overplayed. The art is lively and works well with the vibe of the comic. I'm excited to see how King Catbird continues to progress the story and how the characters will change over time. I'm also interested in how the world itself works, with there being both monsters and humans. Our protagonists turn themselves into monsters, so what does that say about the greater world's association with the supernatural? What about Hunter and Sebastian's families? Do they know? Would they care? there's a lot of like possibilities and avenues of exploration moving forward with world building. As of June 28th, there are 24 episodes. There isn't really that much that's happened yet, but we've gotten to know the characters really well. And as of the most recent episode to come out, there's definitely like a framework for more exciting and perhaps trigger-worthy content later on, especially with the episode's biography or caption rating time to earn that 18+ rating from the creator. Overall, it's like a fun kind of campy comic that's definitely worth checking out if you're looking for just kind of like a chill read. All right, moving on. Love Bites is a supernatural romance by Aaron Bray on Webtoon. It's another Webtoon canvas and follows Marilysi. I'm so sorry, I'm gonna say Marilysi, and I'm not French, and I think this is a French name, so please correct me on how to say it. I'll post how it's spelled. The Webtoon follows Marilysi, a young vampire, as they begin their new school year before quickly being broken up with by their girlfriend, Leslie.
My friends call me a loser, 'cause I'm still hanging around.
I'm using they, them pronouns for the main character because I don't know if they ever refer to themselves or are referred to by a gendered pronoun, so I'm saying gender neutral, but I do think that both characters identify as women. Please correct me if I'm wrong. According to the synopsis, the story will continue with Marilysi befriending a werewolf, and the pair will investigate the disappearance of a classmate. As of recording, we haven't been introduced to the werewolf character yet. Love Bites does upload consistently, with the most recent time being July 1st, 2024. The updates are kept pretty short, but this does usually mean that they happen more often, and the creator usually keeps them pretty snappy, with each of them serving a purpose to the plot. The creator is also active on other social media, going by Aaron Bray Art on TikTok and Tumblr. I've been following them on TikTok for a while, which is actually how I found the comic and why I'm able to keep up with it. I see them posting, which makes me think of it. Anyway, Love Bites starts off kind of sad, but it does have an overall more approachable, less horror-esque feel than the other webtoons I'm talking about today. This may come from the style, which is cute and simplistic, working to give it a lighthearted feel. There are still tense and sad moments, but it feels like something I'm more apt to recommend to someone interested in supernatural romance, not horror or macabre subject matter. At least at time of recording, I don't know where the story is going, so it could get dark later on. I don't know. The Vampire Librarian may belong better on a vampire-centric video, but I'm going to talk about it anyway. So if I do end up making vampire webtoons and mention it in that, pretend you didn't see it here. The Vampire Librarian is on Webtoon Canvas. Again, I feel like I don't need to mention that anymore because I already went over the original, but that's not the point. It's created by E.C. Cotton and tells the story of a vampire, his family, and a kid named Madison who's new to the area and stumbled onto the library. The library itself acts as a personal collection and cover story for Julian, the story's titular vampire. The Vampire Librarian is a supernatural drama with queer themes and contains adult themes and scenes, nothing too explicit for Webtoon, but something to keep in mind. So far, it's been focused mostly on the interpersonal lives of its characters, but also has intertwined some neat plot and supernatural world building to explore later. I'm mentioning the Vampire Librarian because Julian's family is made up of a menagerie of supernatural characters, including his adopted son Alex, who didn't get too much time in the comic's first volume, but really left a fun impact with the time he had. He has some really funny moments near the end of the volume, and I'm excited both to see how he progresses, as well as what werewolves will look like and take influence from within the comics world. I also just want to say that although the art has always been solid, the creator's work has gotten consistently stronger and more confident as it's progressed. I looked back through the webtoon in preparation of this video, and everything from the characters to colors to how the scenes are laid out has gotten stronger and more striking over time. It's really cool to see artists develop their skill and refine their craft as stories progress. The story is currently on hiatus on Webtoon, so it's a great time to catch up if you've never checked this story out. If you can't wait for it to return to Webtoon, the creator does have a Patreon where they post additional content, but please be advised that some of that content is adult in nature. Alright, I have one comic left, so if you're still here, thanks for sticking with me. It's more of an honorary mention than a full category, but we'll get into it. Night Class is a supernatural horror created by Manda AMSBT and aimed at mature audiences. It follows Quinn, who witnessed his classmate Shiloh going through some kind of mysterious emergency back in high school. The moment haunted Quinn for years, with Shiloh eventually attempting to reconnect with him and explain the situation. That situation being that Shiloh is a werewolf.
Oh my god! There's a werewolf!
I really suggest checking this webtoon out for the art alone, which I know I say a lot, like way too much actually, but I am super jealous of their art. Do you ever see someone's art and you're like, I wish I could absorb that? That sounds weird.
What the fuck?
But I I do, and I totally would with Night Class. It's a style that I wish I could replicate confidently, with a lot of really moody lighting, just really nice line art and flow. I also like how crunchy the lore seems to be for this series. The creator doesn't shy away from explaining the rules, expectations of werewolf society, and giving the audience a good idea of what we're getting into. The supernatural world appears to have a well-defined structure, which I feel like you don't see as much anymore for supernatural stories. I'm putting it as an honorary mention because from what I can tell, it is still in progress, but it hasn't been updated on Webtoons since November 7th, 2022. The creator is active on Twitter though, and it seems like the comic is updated on Patreon until the chapters are complete and then posted incrementally on Webtoon. I'm not really sure though. I don't use Patreon, so I don't know. Let me know if you know. Anyway, there are currently 30 episodes posted, with most of them having a few pages each of the comic to check out, so it's definitely worth at least glancing at, if not following on Webtoon proper. Thanks for checking out my video. Have you read any of these? Do you have any that you would recommend checking out? Should I make another one of these about vampires or witches or general supernatural stuff? I don't know. There is probably unsurprisingly a lot more vampire media than werewolf comics on Webtoon, which is kind of a shame. I especially feel like women-oriented werewolf stories don't really get a whole lot of time to shine.
Girls, I told you no more deaths in the house.
Don't be mad. It's for extra credit.
You see stuff like Ginger Snaps, which is super cool, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I mean by that. I'm just talking. There's also quite a bit of really fun magic and supernatural oriented stories, so I got plenty to talk about if people want to hear me ramble about comics that they can read for free online. Life has been crazy. I got a new job. It's summertime, so there are people visiting. The next video I'm hopefully gonna have up was meant for Pride Month, but I didn't have the script done, time to record, time to do whatever, so yeah, assuming I ever actually put it out, it'll be up eventually. Yeah, thanks for checking out the video, but hopefully I'll have something new for you soonish. So yeah, have a great day. Thanks, YouTube.